We have a lot of news to break down on today's edition of Miami Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. I am your host, Nic Rohloff. The Dolphins made several roster moves today. They made a couple yesterday. Well, they're going to do another set of 3 today. And also, Tua Tagovailoa returned to practice for the first time since week 2 against the Buffalo Bills when he suffered that concussion. We'll talk about how he looked and how teammates felt about his return. But make sure you are subscribed and make sure you have your notifications turned on because we are dropping daily videos, sometimes 2 videos a day, and we also go live multiple times a week as well. So never miss a beat of Miami Dolphins content here because we drop news, rumors, and everything in between on the channel. So make sure you're subscribed, and if you are subscribed, make sure you also click that notification icon and turn on to all rather than personalized so you never miss any content we put out. I will open up today's show with the roster moves that Miami made because they added 2 players to the practice squad but also released 1. But there is a notable name that the Dolphins did sign. That being a quarterback, C.J. Beathard, the longtime 49er, former Jacksonville Jaguar as well. And this one's interesting because when Tua initially got hurt in week 2 with that concussion, there was a lot of rumors about who the Dolphins could potentially sign to be a backup to Skylar Thompson or be the starter. And C.J. Beathard was one of those names. Mike Florio actually linked Beathard to Miami. And he's also a really experienced quarterback that has some decent arm talent as well. And he was with San Francisco when Mike McDaniel was still a coach with Kyle Shanahan on the 49ers. And this one makes a little bit of sense because the Dolphins quarterback situation, even with Tua returning, is still a little bit of wonky. Tyler Huntley, who left in the 3rd quarter of week 7 against the Colts with a shoulder injury, has been basically ruled out of this week already with that shoulder injury. Seems like he really struggling and land on it pretty toughly. And Mike McDaniel ruled him out. Well, Skylar Thompson, who's trying to return from that chest/ribs injury he had in week 3 against Seattle, still isn't fully healthy to this point. And then we already know Tim Boyle's been on the practice squad and been elevated as the backup QB over the past 2 or 3 games. Well, he just sucks. So it makes sense to bring in an added quarterback to this room to see if they can find a better backup because unfortunately that is something Miami always has to have ready to go, and they have failed to have a good backup for Tua Tagovailoa over the past couple of seasons, which has caused a lot of ruckus among the fan base. All right, which quarterback should be the backup? There's 3 quarterbacks, and McDaniel actually said today at his press conference to the media that today's practice will decide pretty much who is the backup for Tua, who is slated to be in the starting lineup once again this upcoming Sunday. Type CJ if you'd like it to be Beathard, ST for Thompson, or TB for Tim Boyle. I got to be honest, I think I'm willing to go with C.J. Beathard, and I know it's risky considering he doesn't really know the entire playbook, but he does have a pretty good knowledge of it because it's basically the same type of system and scheme that he was running with Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco when he was there with Mike McDaniel. And we've seen Skylar Thompson, who's not 100% healthy, and even when he is 100% healthy, he stinks. And I'm really sick of Tim Boyle as well. If Mike McDaniel believes Beathard, the veteran quarterback, is able to pick it up quickly enough to be a backup, and hopefully you don't even have to worry about it because if Tua gets hurt again this upcoming Sunday, well then season's over regardless. So hopefully you don't have to worry about it, but I'd be willing to keep it with C.J. Beathard as he joins this team. All right, they also added a new wide receiver to the practice squad in Tarik Black. Now, this is an intriguing one to me because Braxton Berrios did suffer a torn ACL, and he is out for the season. He is a return specialist, and they get Black onto the practice squad. Remember, they also have Dwayne Eskridge, D. Eskridge, that is, already on the P squad as well, who could be elevated to fill that return duties for Miami on Sunday against Arizona. Black has only appeared in 1 game in his career. He's bounced around teams like the Steelers, like the Jets, the Ravens. I believe he was also with the Colts at one point. He's a bigger wide receiver, but the Dolphins already have a big body wide receiver on their practice squad, and Eric Ezukama. So this one's a little intriguing to me. I don't know what the plan is with Black, maybe just to fill a roster spot on the P squad in case another injury happens to a wide receiver. Well, they added 2 players to the practice squad, which means they have to take someone off of it because they were going to go exceed past the number allowed, and that person is Hayden Rucci. It's a little bit unfortunate because we talked about it before the season began and training camp began, that Rucci was a sneaky UDFA that might be able to make some noise. He's a really good run blocking tight end, and I thought maybe he could kind of learn under Alec Ingold on the practice squad and be the fullback of the future for Miami if they want to continue to use that position. But ultimately, Rucci, the former Badger, is released. We'll see if he ultimately ever comes back to the Miami Dolphins organization. Let's move away from the practice squad now and talk about some IR/PUP guys and if they could return relatively soon. Because we know Tua Tagovailoa is returning off of IR this week, and reporters asked Coach Mike McDaniel if there was going to be any other players that could potentially return. Well, he said it's not out of the question, but he does not forecast anybody else coming off. Obviously, the headliner is edge rusher Bradley Chubb. There's also Isaiah Wynn, River Craycraft, Patrick McMorris, the 6th-round rookie out of Cal, who's a safety, and then edge rusher Cameron Good. None of them seem to be coming back this week. And if you watch the channel, you would know that we reported last week here on an episode that it doesn't feel like any of these guys are close to returning. And when we specifically talked about Isaiah Wynn and Bradley Chubb, it feels like we're still multiple weeks away from Bradley Chubb's return, but Isaiah Wynn's return might not even be guaranteed in this season as he has suffered a setback during his rehab. But when we're specifically talking about Bradley Chubb, because he is the biggest name on this list, he is the guy that the Miami Dolphins need back the most. And obviously they have a 2-4 record right now, and they have a long road ahead of them until they could potentially get back into the playoff hunt. It all starts this week against Arizona. But if you do want to make a push for the postseason and ultimately maybe even win a playoff game, your pass rush will need to be better. Your defense has been outstanding on third down and in the pass game, but you have not been in the top half of the NFL at getting after the quarterback and putting him on the ground and feeling nicey. Shout out to John Gruden. Bradley Chubb would help that. You're paying him $20 million, and he's one of the best edge rushers in the league when healthy. He needs the return, but I don't want to rush him back either. But with Chop Robinson struggling the way he has, Emmanuel Ogbah needs a running mate going forward, so let's hope Bradley Chubb returns sooner rather than later. All right, we're going to get to Tua Tagovailoa in just a second, but we are sponsored by Mando, the #1 whole-body deodorant with so many best products that can keep you smelling nicey. You can use it on your whole body. Yes, your whole body. It's dermatologist tested and gentle on all your bits. It controls odor for 72 hours. Clinically proven. And I mentioned there's a lot of products for them. Well, their starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, and 2 free products of your choice. You could either choose mini body wash, deodorant wipes, there's some other ones as well, and you also get free shipping. I got a couple products in studio with me today because I want to make sure I'm always the best smelling person in the room, and Mando does that for me. This deodorant stick here, it's the Mount Fuji flavor and scent, I should say. It's my favorite one. It smells absolutely terrific. But I also mentioned those deodorant wipes as well. Perfect for on the go if you're out in public or doing anything. It is absolutely necessary to have. And luckily, I have a discount code to help you get hooked up on my favorite smelling whole body deodorant on the market. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That code is CHAT. It equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code CHAT at shopmando.com, shopmando.com. One more time, get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code CHAT. That will be in the description and comments of today's video. Shout out to Mando. Make sure you're smelling nice wherever you are. All right, let's get into Tua Tagovailoa's return and what reporters saw, what teammates saw, and how they feel about QB1 returning for the Miami Dolphins. And there is positive remarks, and this is very key to me to hear this from the reporters and from the players that are catching passes from Tua in practice. But they were very complimentary of QB1 and said that he was looking sharp throwing the football. He looked accurate. He had some good zip on his footballs. And listen, we know he doesn't have the strongest arm when you look at every quarterback that starts in the National Football League, but he is excellent in using his anticipation and accuracy to really beat defenders all the time. And I will say, Tua did speak to reporters a couple days ago and said that he has been throwing for about 4 weeks now, because a lot of people made a big deal about this. I don't really see it as a big deal. But he has been concussion symptom-free, I should say, basically since the second day that he suffered his concussion against the Bills. Like, he's basically had no concussion symptoms for 4 or 5 weeks. So then people are like, well, if that's the case, then why isn't he returning to the football field and why was he placed on IR? Well, it's because of his history that he needed to have extra time to heal and recover, so he wasn't susceptible to another concussion sooner than when he should have gotten a potential another one, even with a softer hit. But him not having any symptoms has allowed him to stay sharp, throwing the football, going through some non-contact workouts, and just making sure his mind and his arms stay sharp and in shape. It is a good and positive thing that Tua has been throwing, and I understand it's frustrating the Dolphins fans that Miami has gone 1-3 over the past 4 weeks without Tua, and it feels like he might have been able to play because he hasn't any symptoms, but ultimately for the long-term health of Tua and his football team, it was good for him to be out. But unfortunately, I am getting suckered in again to this Miami Dolphins football team. They're 2-4. I was bashing Mike McDaniel this past Sunday and Monday about some of the decisions and mistakes he made against the Indianapolis Colts. But with Tua on the horizon, the excitement that the reporters have shown and shared with him being back on the practice field, and then also a Tyreek Hill quote, which we'll get to in just a second, I am believing that this offense will start working in the right direction. Because through 6 games and 7 weeks in the NFL, they were the worst offense in football through the air, in points per game, in red zone touchdown efficiency. They have been horrific, and I think Tua Tagovailoa is going to come back and at least change that a little bit. Is it going to be a top 5 offense? Probably not, but top 15, top 16? Hopefully. And if you're with me, are you fired up for Tua's return to the gridiron? If you are, spam those ones. I want to see the ones flooded down in the comments section. On the off chance that Tua watches this video, I want him to know that the entire Dolphins fans and fan base has his back. So spam those ones down below in the comment section. All right, also, I did want to share this Tyreek Hill quote because he was asked about Tua Tagovailoa's practice performance today. He called it beautiful, and then he also had a message to his fantasy football owners. We're back, baby. Strike up the effing band. We're back, baby. Start me this week. Let's go. And like, how can you not be excited about this, right? Obviously, we've talked about how much Tua means to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and how you have, in my opinion, the best wide receiver duo in the National Football League, but they have been unable to put up the numbers we are accustomed to this season due to injuries with Tua and the quarterback situation for Miami. And I always said this. I said this on our live show on Tuesday afternoon as well. Tua played 1 full game this year. 1. All 4 quarters. And what happened? Tyreek Hill had 130 yards and a touchdown, and then Jalen Waddle had 5 catches for 105 yards, and the Dolphins won 20-17 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, ultimately, Jacksonville's not a good football team, but still, 1 full game with Tua quarterback. And your top 2 guys had over 100 yards, and your offense scored 20 points, which was the only time you've done that all year long in the first 6 games. It's good to have Tua back, folks. Quick little note on Skylar Thompson as well. Reporters did kind of report here that he was more involved in practice today. He has been rehabbing from that rib injury that he suffered in Week 3 against Seattle, and this is going to be the first time that he has a chance to be eligible to play this week. Now, they did sign C.J. Beathard in case they don't feel confident about Thompson, but it feels like Skylar is progressing closer and closer to being the backup QB in Miami once again. Now, it remains the question that if Tyler Huntley gets healthy, should it be Huntley? Should it be Skylar Thompson as the backup to Tua? I guess that's going to be a conversation for a different day. But just get a win this week, man. And I kind of mentioned a little bit earlier, I'm getting suckered back in. You're 2-4, but you're still the 10th spot in the AFC standings, which means you only got 3 teams in between you and a playoff spot, and that includes a 3-4 Bengals team, a 4-3 Broncos team, and a 3-3 Chargers team. They don't strike a lot of fear into me, and they don't give me a lot of wherewithal from potentially jumping them, as well as the Indianapolis Colts being 4-3. And I know they have the tiebreaker over you, but I don't think they're that good either. So to me, it feels like the Dolphins have a golden opportunity with an easy schedule ahead of Arizona, Buffalo, the Rams, Raiders, and Patriots, to where you can go 4-1 over those next 5 games with Tua coming back. And if you do that, you're going to be 6-5 going into the final 6 games of the season and having a chance to make a playoff push. But it all starts this week with a must-win game as 3-point favorites at home and Tua's return against the Arizona Cardinals. Get a win this week, and we can push forward through the next 4 or 5 games. All right, make sure you are subscribed because we will be live on Sunday for a Dolphins-Cardinals watch party to break down Tua's return. So hit that sub button. We'll have videos in between now and that game on Sunday. But join the channel because we're covering the Dolphins on a daily basis.